many people. Hopefully, less people will come in. Just get off. X.
No, I'm here.
Okay. So again, Shavua Tov, Hagot Tavach. So nice to have you here, and those who are on Facebook. After a beautiful Shabbos that we bless the month of Tammuz, a Shabbos that we precede the yard site of the Rebbe, the special day of Gimel Tammuz, this Wednesday night, Thursday, a very special Shabbos that brings in a very, very special and holy week. Hashem help that the energy and the spirit of Shabbos that we had will elevate the week and to bring in all the blessings we need and empowerment that the Rebbe would give us as Jews. And actually tonight we're going to tell one or two stories from the Rebbe as our story of the custom of telling a story. We're just going to get the candle lit. Okay, lit by a professional. Everyone's ready?
I think the fan keeps on turning on.
Another one.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Then I put it one more. Pull it on one more. No, again.
The candle is off.
Put the light. No, put the light.
What's going on?
No, press this one more time. That one. One more time.
Okay. The elements. Just getting our family here together. Over here. So we begin the Havdallah. You know what the custom is that you're supposed to say the words of Havdallah, the first words, until the bracha quietly what I say. Hine el Yeshua Havdallah yevchad ki yazi Bizimri Asya Adonai Vayeli Lishua Ushiyahu Avtemayim Besasain Mimayne Ya Yeshua Adonai Ya Yeshua Alamcha Bir chaselam Adonai Tzivay Simonu Mizgavlanu Alei Yaakov Sela Adonai Tzivay Sashiyagam Beiteyach Bach Adonai Yoshia Melech Yaneinu V'yai Mekavareinu Layodim Hawaisayna V'simcha v'sasayna V'yikar kain Tielano Beis v'shuay Sesa v'shem Adina Yekra Sabri Maranan Barachato Adina Yeleinu Melech Olam B'dei Pri Yagov
Amen.
Barachato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'dei minei b'samim.
Amen.
Ra 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 ya na 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 ma na na. Oh ya da yo ya da ma ya da ma ya ya. Barachato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bayrei bayrei away.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamavdil ben kadosh lechayil. Ben lechai shev Yisrael amim. Ben yoy mashvi'i l'sheshes yimei ha'maseh. Baruch atah Adonai Hamavdil ben kadosh lechayil.
Amen.
Put out the candle. Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. We take from the blessing for wisdom, parnasah, livelihood, all the things that we need for the coming week, physically, materially, and spiritually. This is what we hope to take from the Shabbos, and with the Havdallah, the closing of the Shabbat. We're going to light, as is the custom, 2 candles, which we light for the Malava Malka, the meal after Shabbos. Well, we escort the Shabbat Queen. It's like we light 2 candles at least on the beginning of Shabbat, and especially as our soul, our extra soul, leaves our body, we want to make sure that we feel our soul fully and completely. So tonight, being that this week is the Rebbe's yahrzeit, and there will be a lot of things happening this week, Tuesday night, Thursday, and even Wednesday night, God willing, you'll get it all in the emails. I want to share a little bit about the Rebbe, and I'll share it through 2 short stories. Now, those who are familiar with the Rebbe, over the years, the over 40 years that the Rebbe was with us physically, leading us, been an incredible amount of stories, miracle stories. People came to the Rebbe for blessings. It's too much to even count how many there are and how many people's lives were touched, and kids born, and people who are in difficult health situations, parnasa, many other stories, many. But tonight, we're not here just to count off stories. I want to emphasize tonight through these 2 stories I'm going to share another element of the Rebbe. Not that the Rebbe was able to perform miracles. A tzaddik, we believe, could perform miracles. The Baal Shem Tov, we tell stories of Baal Shem Tov mostly, performed many miracles. But it's not about, we have a miracle maker in our midst. A tzaddik, because they are so in sync with Hashem, Hashem fulfills their wishes. They give a blessing. Hashem makes their blessing come true. Every one of us, every Jew, if you give a blessing sincerely, it can also happen for the other person. If you do it sincerely with your whole heart and soul. But as a leader of our generation, the Rebbe was much more than a son who performed miracles. The Rebbe cared for every single individual Jew. I want to share a story that happened in Brazil. And after the Second World War, there was a fellow who was, I believe, a Vishnitz Chassid, who survived the war, made his way to America, did not really have his regular Hasidic group in New York where he came, and he connected with the Rebbe. And this man came to America in the 40s. He was connected to the Rebbe in the early years of the Rebbe's leadership. And he used to, didn't become a chassid of the Rebbe, but he became very close. And actually the Rebbe encouraged him when he got a position to go to Brazil and help open up a school. As an educator, the Rebbe encouraged him to go and take the job. And he took the job and he became an educator in the school. And the story goes that one day he gets a call from one of the parents of his school. And they tell him that they're very, very distraught. They were crying on the phone. they couldn't even speak properly. So he said, please either come to me or I'll go to you, but you have to tell me what's going on. I see something very much is bothering you. So when they met, they said, our daughter went through your school. You remember? He said, sure, I remember your daughter. He told him. But now our daughter fell in love with a non-Jew, moved out of the house because she was sick and tired of us here telling her that it's not good for her, that she shouldn't marry a non-Jew. And we have lost all ability to sway her. She doesn't want to talk to us anymore. And we can't live with ourselves. We can't sleep at night. We're not ourselves. You know her, you taught her in the school, you were the principal, please help us. So the man said, okay. He took upon himself, why not? So he got the address and he went to visit the girl. The minute the girl saw him at the door, she opened up and she told him, I know why you're here and there's nothing you're going to tell me that's going to sway me in any way, so please leave the house. And he left and he couldn't believe, no chance to help her, no chance to do anything. He couldn't believe. He didn't know what to do, but he felt bad. A girl who was gone off the way, ready to marry a non-Jew, and he decides he's going to call New York. Those days, telephone in the 50s wasn't like today, but he made a phone call, and he calls New York to the Rebbe's office. And Rabbi Chadakov, the Rebbe's secretary, answers the phone, and he says, this is Mr. So-and-so, Rabbi so-and-so, calling from Brazil, and we have a big problem. There's a girl in our community who is with a non-Jew, and she wants to get married to him. The parents are distraught. I don't know what to do. I went to her house. She doesn't want to talk to me. So Rabbi Chadakov, as often would be when he was on a phone call, he had a phone that somehow the Rebbe could be on the line while only he heard the Rebbe, not the other person. So the Rebbe got on the line, and the Rebbe told Rabbi Chadakov to tell the man that, tell the girl that there's someone in Brooklyn who can't sleep because she's with a non-Jewish woman. She's a non-Jewish man. So he said, okay. Anyways, he goes to her house. Again, she opens the door and she says, listen, I told you already, don't waste your time. And my mind is made up. I like this guy. I'm not interested in Judaism anymore. So he said, listen, there's a man in Brooklyn who cannot sleep at night because you are dating a non-Jew. And she heard that, was a little bit like, she got a little like shooken up. But she said, please leave, nothing you can do. He left. Doesn't know what to do. So he calls like Rabbi Chadakov. I went and I told her. She says, you have to go back again. You have to say there's a man in Brooklyn who cannot sleep because she's going out with a non-Jew. So the rabbi asked, by the way, who is this man in Brooklyn who can't sleep? A relative? Like, who is this man the Rebbe is talking about? Rabbi Chadakov said, the Rebbe. The Rebbe cannot sleep at night knowing that there's a Jewish person, even the far away as Brazil, that's dating and living with a non-Jew and wants to marry a non-Jew. So now that he heard that, he said, I'm going to go back to the girl. He goes back to the girl. And when he goes in, this time he took with him a picture. And he sits down, he says, listen, I know you don't want to listen to me. I'm a regular rabbi, but there's a great rabbi in Brooklyn who told me that he cannot sleep at night as long as you're with this non-Jew. You have to break up for him. Look what you're doing to your parents. And here's a great rabbi. And the girl says, who is this great rabbi? I don't know anyone in Brooklyn. Who is this great rabbi? So he pulls out a picture from his pocket. He had a picture of the Rebbe. He said, this is the great rabbi in Brooklyn who cannot sleep at night. So when the girl saw that, her face became white. He says, are you all right? Can I get you a cup of water? Well, what happened? So she says, in the last few weeks since you came, I had an image, a dream, 2 or 3 times repeating itself, where a man that I didn't recognize with a beard came and told me, don't marry a non-Jew. You're too good for that. You're a Jewish woman. You're a daughter of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I just brushed it away. I didn't know who this man was. I thought it was maybe because my parents are putting so much pressure, I'm having hallucinations. But now that you show me this picture, this is the image of the man who's coming to me in my dreams and telling me, does he really exist? Who is this man? And he started to talk to her. She opened up, and eventually she left the non-Jewish, went back to her parents, and she ended up marrying a Jewish man. And what do we see from this story? Not that the Rebbe had some kind of a great power to be able to come to her in a dream, which tzaddikim have that ability, but that the Rebbe cared about a single individual Jewish girl in Brazil, one of 14 million Jews. To many, it's a statistic. Okay, one person we lost, but the next person will keep up. But to the Rebbe, if there's one Jewish person who's being lost, who their branch is being cut off from the Jewish people, the Rebbe could not sleep. That's who the Rebbe was as the leader of the Jewish people. The second story I want to share is, there was a man from Belgium, a very religious man, came from a large family, and he once was in New York for some business, and he decided to go into the Rebbe for a private audience. He heard about the Rebbe. He was a Hasidic man, not a Chabad fellow. So he's going to audience to the Rebbe. And he goes into audience to the Rebbe and to ask for a blessing for him and his family. And he gives his name. Like a chassid used to go into the Rebbe, he used to write on a paper their name and their mother's name. And then whatever they were asking for. And he gives his name, and the Rebbe reads his letter. His kvittel says letter. And the Rebbe then opens up the right-hand drawer of his desk, and he pulls out a letter. And the Rebbe opens up the letter in front of him. The Rebbe says, I know who you are. He says, but Rebbe, I never met you. My mother was Satmer, I believe. My parents were not Chabad. How do you know who I am? So the Rebbe says, you see this letter here? This letter tells me who you are. He says, what's this letter? So the Rebbe says, many years ago, when you're around bar mitzvah age, your mother was very sick. She had cancer. And the doctors told her she doesn't have long to live. She had a household of young children. You were the oldest of the children. She wrote to the Rebbe, her oldest is just bar mitzvah age. I have younger children. If I die, who is going to watch my family? Who's going to look after my family? Who's going to take care of my kids? What's going to be with my kids? Will they be from? Will they be religious? Will they be following in the ways of the Torah? What will be their story? And she remembers that in Belgium, in Antwerp, there was a chassid, a Lubavitcher. She once went to a class of his. And this Lubavitcher said that the Rebbe cares for everyone. The Rebbe is like a father to all Jewish people. So she did not write a letter to her Rebbe of where her family comes from. She did not write a letter to where her father or her mother comes from. But she remembered those words, and she felt that she's leaving her children, and she's scared. What will be the future of his children? So she penned a letter to the Rebbe. And she wrote to the Rebbe her story. I heard this is her name, and these are her children's name. And she's very not ill, and they don't give her a long time. And she's asking the Rebbe to please pray for her children, that her children should be Yireim B'Shem, they should be full, good, healthy, religious people follow Torah and mitzvahs in the fullest way. And the Rebbe said, I got this letter, a mother's cry. So he said, really? And he looked at the letter. He says, can I please have the letter? Please give me the letter. I would love to have it. My mother, I never saw any writing from my mother. Let me have the letter. So the Rebbe said, I'm sorry, I can't give you the letter. He says, but it's my mother. I have nothing from her. The Rebbe said, as much as I would want to give it to you, but I want to tell you that every Erev Yom Kippur, every year before Yom Kippur, I take out this letter. The Rebbe didn't keep all his letters. The Rebbe used to get thousands of letters a day. The Rebbe got more mail than the White House an average day. But I kept this letter because every Erev Yom Kippur, I used to open up this letter and read the letter and think to Hashem and say to Hashem, Hashem, look how a mother cares for her children. She knows she's going to pass away. And she does so much in her hardest moments to pray for her children, for their well-being. That's all her worry is. Not her pain, not her suffering, not her illness. Her only worry is that her children, her little children, should grow up to be connected to Hashem and Torah mitzvahs. He says, Hashem, you have so many children in the world. Every individual Jew is your child. You call every Jew B'ni B'chayri Yisrael. It's my only child, my only child, my only son. He says, if this mother, a simple physical mother, can overlook her pain, to only think about her children, Hashem, even if the Jewish people have sinned, I'm sure you can overlook the sins to be able to give the best for your children. So that's why I need the letter. With this letter, I go every Yom Kippur to pray to Hashem. And this is really the miracle of the Rebbe. The ability to make miracles, and there were many, and incredible miracles, and we can talk nights on end about all the beautiful, incredible miracles, the young and old, religious, non-Jewish, incredible miracles. But the greatest miracle of the Rebbe, who on the Shirtei to inspire us, to bring us blessing, is the miracle of Abbas Yisrael. The Rebbe's love for a fellow Jew, which was so infectious, that the Rebbe's love poured out to everyone around him and everyone who listened to him with such a love to be ready to give over your entire life. Thousands of shluchim go around the world and put aside their own personal lives to care for another Jew. No one else inspired such a movement. That was the miracle of the Rebbe's. The greatest miracle of the Rebbe is love. Like Jonathan Sachs, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs always said, termed it in the best way. In the same way that Hitler Yamach Shemoy chased every Jew with hate, the Rebbe chased down every Jew in the world with love. And this is what the Rebbe gave us, the ability to love a fellow Jew and to care about a fellow Jew as much as we care about ourselves, and perhaps even more than we care about ourselves. So as we go into the week of the Rebbe's yard site, this is a week we have to dedicate to many things, to learning the Rebbe's Torah, to understanding the Rebbe's directives. But let's start with learning to love a fellow Jew in the way that the Rebbe loved each and every individual Jew, as if they were his only individual child. So I want to wish you all a Shavua Tov, a good Tvach, a good week. May we only have the greatest blessings. The Rebbe is with us, giving us strength and blessing. We just have to hold on to the door handle of the Rebbe's teachings, directives, and to be inspired by it to action. Like by the Rebbe, the only thing that counted was action. And as we finish off on the Matzoi Shabbos, we sing Eliyahu Hanavi. It says Eliyahu Hanavi will usher in the era of Mashiach. He will be the one to announce Mashiach. So Eliyahu Hanavi is the song that they sang Matzoi Shabbat, because the meal is the meal of Mashiach. After Shabbat comes Mashiach. So we'll sing a little Eliyahu Hanavi to finish off tonight's get together. Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu ad kishbi Eliyahu 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 Agiladi Meira Yava Elayno Imashiach ben David Meira Yava Yava Elayno Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben David. A good Tov, Shavua Tov. Thank you all so much. I look forward to seeing you, and God willing, next Shabbat we will be in Shul. Even this week, we're going to start Monday morning. We're going to start praying in the mornings in Shul. We look forward to coming together more and more, fully and completely. And we'll still be on Zoom for Messiah Shabbat Havdallah. We'll see you. All the best. Shavua Tov.
Right.